Planning Commission meeting. Lane, can you please call the roll?
Sir. Mr. Badger?
Here.
Mr. Halter?
Here.
Mr. Prahl?
Here.
Mr. Volnick?
Here.
Mayor Riggle?
Here.
Vice Chairman Mansoris?
Here.
Chairman Simpson?
Move to excuse Chairman Simpson.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second? Roll, please.
Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prahl?
Yes.
Mr. Volnick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansoris?
Yes. Moving on to item 2, approval of the motion summary. What is the wish of the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Badger? Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prahl?
Yes.
Mr. Volnick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansoris?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into this evening's agenda. First item, 2019 to 2590, request by the Delaware City Schools for approval of a combined preliminary and final development plan. Who will be presenting tonight?
I got that one. Get this up here in a second.
I have one job, turn the table.
Elaine, could you please read this
Sure.
item?
Item A, 2019-2590, a request by Delaware City Schools for approval of a combined preliminary and final development plan for an expansion to Schultz Elementary School located at 499 Applegate Lane on property zoned R4 medium-density residential district, which encompasses approximately 36.47 acres.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you.
So here we got the location map. Shows the property is located at 499 Applegate Lane between the Delaware Meadows subdivision to the east and the Sunnyview Farms subdivision to the west. We've got the zoning map. Shows the property zoned R4 for medium density residential. The properties to the north are R4 with a planned unit development overlay district. The properties to the south are R3 also with a PUD. And the properties to the east and west are both zoned R3. Here we got an aerial view. Shows the approximate 76,000 square foot elementary school that was constructed in 1994. There was an expansion in 2014. The proposed expansion will be approximately 16,662 square feet. And the main access for students will remain the same from Applegate Way. Here we got a little bit of a closer view of the project area. The Pennock Avenue extension's kind of dotted in there in red. And here we got the proposed site plan. Yellow showing the existing building, red would be the proposed. And then I highlighted in black kind of some of the new pavement features here. The expansion to these buildings here will be along the south wing. It'll fit seamlessly into next to the existing playground that's there. And then the approximately 1,600 square foot addition just south of the kitchen also fits into the site plan. So you can see both those features along here in red. The school's also proposing a bus drop-off and turnaround to be located just north of the Pennock Avenue extension. The school is going to be required to construct and maintain a T-turnaround at the terminus of Marvin Lane here that I highlighted there in black. So then here's the turnaround. And then down here we've got the extension. Sidewalks will be located along both sides of the bus drop-off as well as the Pennock Avenue extension. This new sidewalk network will connect into the existing sidewalks of the school, which will then connect all of this to the existing neighborhoods, creating a more flow with all these pedestrian connectivities. Building design will match the materials of the existing building. It'll be some split-faced concrete block with some couple different colors shown there, and a shingle-pitched roof. The provided tree inventory shows the removal of one 14 caliper inch tree while preserving 12 trees for an approximate 222 caliper inches. The applicant will be replanting about 39 caliper inches worth of evergreens to meet the tree replacement requirements of Chapter 1168. The new bus drop-off shall be buffered with evergreens, and well as the city will be providing the remainder of buffering along the Pennock Avenue extension. Staff recommends approval of the request by Delaware City Schools for a combined preliminary and final development plan with all listed staff conditions. If there's any questions, then I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, would just say as well, we appreciate the partnership with Delaware City Schools. As always, they were tremendous to work with, and this is kind of the second round of these modern expansions and updates to the schools, starting with Schultz here. So we look forward to working with them some more.
Thank you. Any commission members have any questions for staff?
Yeah, just curious, has this street through there been on the books for a while, planned?
It has been on the thoroughfare plan for quite a period of time, yes. So this has always been a planned roadway dependent upon when it could progress.
Thank you.
It's just a very good opportunity at this time.
Is there any fencing going on in the bus drop-off area?
I don't believe so. Perhaps the applicant.
I was just
remember.
wondering, I think, maybe at Woodward, then they put in that black chain fencing as well with the, does anybody remember that? Was that already there? Just different areas, but.
Yeah, I think there was.
If you could have a little more separation between the
They had some ball
neighborhoods.
fields and stuff around there.
Yeah.
I defer to the schools. I think they're really trying to keep this, using evergreens as the buffer between the residents and the bus drop-off. It's a big open space right now, so.
Yeah, I
they
just
may
think
have
with,
some.
with the road going in, now it's gonna be really, a little different cut-throughs and, that type of thing to go into the school from the new Pennick extension.
Yeah, on the other hand, it should maybe take some pressure off where there's a lot of pressure today in terms of where the traffic is going at the north side of the building. So I think it's just dispersing the traffic.
I don't think that Carlisle has any fencing at their bus drop-off.
No, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think. Nor at Conger, so. And this one sets far enough back.
Yeah. If Jason, maybe if you want to come up, he probably knows where every fence in the entire district is by heart.
Welcome. How are you?
Jason Sherman, Director of Facilities and Transportation.
If I could get your name and your address for the record, please.
Jason Sherman, 9278 Lerwick Drive, Dublin. I'm the Director of Facilities and Transportation for the school district. The fencing we have at Woodward was already existing.
No.
It was fencing the playground. It wasn't fencing any of the bus loop.
Okay.
At Carlisle, there is no fencing around the bus loop either. So there wouldn't be any desire on our part to put any fencing around this proposed bus loop.
I'm just curious what the name of the extension is. Is that going to be Pennick or is that going to be Cobblestone? Or is it going to be somewhere in the middle?
It'll be one of the two. So far, it's been referred to as Pennick Extension.
Where the two roads are going to meet, whether we end up calling it, doesn't make any difference to me, but we have a large piece of property to the south, is that right? Is that used for anything now?
No, currently it's not used for any official programming. We mow that once or twice a year to keep it from getting overgrown. If we were to do anything there in the future, I would suspect it would be some ball diamonds or some recreational facilities like that. No construction of buildings or any other structures. It's kind of a wetland back there with the trees. It would be difficult to build anything back there, I think.
Yeah, I knew there were some ball fields back in there behind the school. Are they gonna be lost because of the turnaround and stuff? Or were those?
Yeah, we abandoned 2 ball fields during the 2014 construction, and our parents have put another one back up there with the knowledge that it's probably going to disappear as part of this project. So Again, when we're all said and done, it would be nice if we could get in there, if the site conditions warrant, and we could put another ball field or two, either for baseball, softball, t-ball, or maybe even a soccer practice field or something like
I
that.
was thinking, I remember it was used for T-ball.
Yeah.
I was that for a while. Tells you how old I am, I don't remember they quit using it, but, okay, that's all I had.
Just, this may be a little down a rabbit trail, so forgive me. The ingress and egress, I don't have a scale, so I don't know what the width is, but I'd be concerned with however many buses you have. If this is tighter, you may not be able, you may have to wait until all buses have unloaded and a bus can leave. I know that you want to keep that tight for the ped movements too, but that just might be something just to be cognizant of, so you don't have to wait.
Are you
till
looking
it's
at the
clear.
bus loop?
I'm looking at the bus loop. That's
Yeah, that
correct.
is something that I believe the engineer and
Okay.
our in-house staff are
Gotcha.
evaluating as well to make sure that there's not a conflict.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not going to just have buses sitting there waiting till everybody's gone and then they can find
Yeah,
out.
there'll be room to
So,
pass.
Buses take a wide turn, and I noticed
They
that
absolutely do.
streets were all built before, okay, but, you know, they have terrible time like at Euclid and stuff like, there's just not enough.
Just don't want to
You know,
create a,
and nothing you could do, but I'm just saying, I hope this one will be built big enough that they can make that turn onto whatever we're gonna call it, and traffic can still get by.
Yeah, we looked at this bus loop in comparison to the ones we've done at Woodward and the one that exists at Carlisle, and we've used some similar dimensions so that the buses can travel within the loop safely. And also, as you mentioned, the radius coming in and out of the street is sufficient that we can turn a bus without backing up or driving over curbs. It works out really well at Woodward, so
Okay.
that's kind of the model we used.
Are you aware whether or not any of the homeowners along Pennick or Cobblestone have been notified or made aware of?
I'm not aware of who is up to speed on the plans at this point. Obviously, as we work through the process, that'll be something that'll be happening here before too long. Superintendent Kegley and myself have met a couple times with Mr. Farino and Mr. Holman. We're talking through some of the details on the road specifically, and how that message will get out and how that'll be handled.
Any other questions? Do you want to offer any further details?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
For the staff. The city's paying for that road?
That's correct.
Is that kind of unusual?
I believe that the construction cost of the road between, it's in negotiations
Yeah,
currently with, city manager's office and the school district. So
Okay.
I don't know what that final response will be, but it is currently in negotiations.
As Carrie mentioned before, it has been on our thoroughfare plan for some time. There's just been no reason to execute on that plan.
So where Pennick ends, where it currently ends at the terminus, there's some parking spots just south of that. Is that gonna be taken up?
Those parking
Torn
spots,
up?
I believe, will be removed.
Well, you can see on the scale there, just where, right there, where Jordan's pointing.
I
There's some
believe-
pavement there, and I think people use it for parking for the fields and stuff. Is that gonna be taken up as well?
I
once
believe
the-
it is going to be removed, and then the bike path that's south in that vicinity too will be formally routed to go about where that parking is, and then
Okay.
make a street crossing and then continue to the school path.
Are you talking about where the dead ends,
Yeah.
where the stub ends?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's obvious it's gonna be a street someday.
Right.
Is there anything else you'd like to add this evening?
No, well, hopefully you find our plans easy to read and comprehensive, and I just echo what Mr. Eflin said. We really appreciate at the school district having the partnership with the city that we do to get these sorts of things done, because everybody wins in the end. So, thank you very much for your consideration tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time, I'd like to welcome anyone who'd like to speak on or make a suggestion or comment. Yes, sir, please come forward. Please state your name and your address, please.
Brett Latta, 376 North Sandusky. I'm not no objection to the proposal. I think as I was sitting back there listening, if the forested portion of that lot does have a wetland, if it does, I understand kids need to recreate and have ball fields and such, but it might be valuable to preserve any forested wetland for environmental education. So I just thought I'd make that comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to take this opportunity to make a comment? Seeing none, turn it over to the commission. What's the wish of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve 2019-2590, combined preliminary and final development plan with all staff recommendations.
Second?
Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Volnick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansour?
Yes. Does it take me before council? So your application will come before council this Monday?
Ninth.
Monday,
Monday?
the 9th.
Good luck. Can you read item 2?
Case 2019-2665, a request by the VFW Post 3297 for approval of a development plan exemption for the expansion to the VFW building located at 481 South Sandusky Street on approximately 1.349 acres in Zone B3 Community Business District.
I've got this one too. This property is located at 41 South Sandusky Street, just east of the gas station that's currently being remodeled there. Property is zoned B3 for Community Business District, as are all the surrounding properties. We have an aerial view. The approximately 3,200 square foot building was originally constructed in 1964 and was remodeled in 1989. The driveway and approach to this property that extend north along the neighboring gas station here. It's been noted by our engineering department that this will need to be sure to be in conformance with all the required codified ordinance standards for these features, as well as providing an access agreement if one does not already exist, and make sure that's on file if not already. Here's the proposed site plan, existing building in yellow, proposed in red. The approximately 1,600 square foot expansion will be located on the east side of the building in what is currently a parking lot. The parking lot will be reconfigured as part of this expansion. The current parking lot has 45 parking spaces, with only 9 of those being required by code. The proposed layout will have 40 parking spaces, with only 13 of those being required by code, so it'll certainly meet all the parking standards for this project. The intended use for the expansion will be for a bingo hall, just fun note there. Here's the building elevations. These will match the existing design and height of the existing building, with a 10-foot high wall with vinyl siding and asphalt shingles. This application here, meets all code requirements for this type of zoning district, as well as the typical standards for development plan exemption. Thus, staff recommends approval of the request by VFW Post 3297 for development plan exemption of this proposed building expansion. If there's any questions, then I'd be happy to answer them now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on staff have any questions?
Yeah, on parking,
Yeah.
seems like only 9 spaces or only 13 spaces. And I was there Sunday, I think it was, bingo, and the lot was full.
Right. How do you get down?
I mean, that might be code requirement, but, and they have more than what the code requires. It just seems like a use like that maybe ought to have some more parking required, because
Yeah,
they're gonna
that's-
have bingo and things like that. But
Yeah, for
anyway, that's my comment, question.
1 per 400 square feet for meeting hall requirements.
Yeah.
I've never been there when there's been less than 9 cars, sorry. Wow.
The other thing to consider is not every night is a bingo night. so.
I've been
But
to
I- but
meetings
I-
and all kinds of things, and it's,
I hear what you mean.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Well, there's no alternative location to park
No.
unless you park in the grass, actually, so they're not gonna park on the street.
Pretty
but
tight.
Still, I just had to make the comment. that-
That's a good comment. They are just, I mean, for the record, they're over parked by about double what they have to.
But
I
you
guess
said
a
they're
good bingo night's good for them.
But you said they're gonna take it down to 30 from 45, is that what you said, or 44?
45 to 40.
Just down to
5 lost.
Just 5, okay. And then they use the grass.
Same comment.
Yeah.
No,
Everyone
it's
just,
the same thing.
everyone
I'm sure
just
we all
zeroed
wrote
in on
down.
one of those. Would the applicant like to come forward? Welcome. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Connie Sue Watson, I'm the post commander of VFM Post 3297.
And your address?
156 Grand Circle Boulevard, Delaware, Ohio, 43015.
Thank you, please. So you heard the initial comments. Do you want to address that or talk about the parking and how that may or may not be an issue for you?
We will make the parking efficient.
Okay.
We will. We will make the parking efficient.
Are there any other comments that you wanted to share with the commission this evening?
The reason why we're adding on right now, well, not adding on, building onto the property, is we're gonna make this new hall our bingo hall. Because presently, when you have bingo, you cannot have, we have a bar and we have bingo. When bingo is going on, you cannot have the bar open at all. The only thing you can serve out of that is soft drinks, water, you know, sandwiches and stuff like that. So our ultimate goal is to use this new building from bingo and keep the updated one from, I think you said 1989, when it was updated.
Yep.
That will be open to our veterans. They'll be totally separated because people that are playing bingo won't be able to come over and get any alcohol at all.
Mhm.
So this way, excuse the pun, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It'll be bigger for the people. They're not gonna be cramped up like they are in our current building. They'll have more space and we'll have refreshments over there, so people won't be going back and forth. But that way, we can have the old building open is for our regular members and veterans, and we can have the other building used for the public who wanna come play bingo.
So will these 2 buildings be connected or will they be
No, sir.
separate?
No. They will be connected by a door, there'll be a ramp, an open awning down with a handicap ramp. They can answer that better, I'm not an architect.
Sure. Like to come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Jim Park, 7844 Flint Road, Columbus, Ohio. There will be a door connection between them, but the door's closed at all times, and inside the bingo hall is a ramp to get down. So the bingo hall is at grade and even with the parking lot. So if they wanna come in, they'll go down the ramp, or they'll go outside and go back in.
Any comments from the commission?
I believe it's a state law that you can't serve alcohol while you play bingo, is that correct?
That's exactly right.
I just
yeah.
want to say that out loud so everybody understood
That's
why.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you have to have a bingo license, cause
Right.
bingo is gambling.
right. Just want to make sure we knew that, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Turn it over to the commission. Wish of the commission.
Make a motion, we approve 29.
Anyone in the public that would like to comment on this case? Seeing none, what's the wish of the commission? Mr. Holter?
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve 2019-2665, along with all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Second.
Lynn, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prohl?
Yes.
Mr. Volnick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansoris?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So this, your case will come before council at their next regular meeting.
That one.
Mr. Chairman, this is a development plan exemption, so you'll just be working with staff with a building permit from this point.
Awesome.
All right, moving on. Lincoln, please read item 3 into the record.
Case 2019-0927, a request by Westport Homes for approval of an amended preliminary subdivision plat for Springer Woods Section 3 on approximately 47.5 acres containing 121 single-family lots on property zoned R3 one-family residential district located on the north side of West William Street, which is US 36 and south of Warrensburg Road.
Right, Mr. Eflin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, this is somewhat long-awaited another amendment to Springer Woods. We have a new developer in there now with Westport Homes, which is D.R. Horton, the nation's largest home builder. And I will walk you through some of the changes. As staff overall, we're very pleased with where these amendments have come from, particularly starting with the very first approval in the year 2000. So it's been a little while. But this is for the third and final section of Springer Woods, which will be developed in likely 2 phases. The property is straight zoned R3 single-family residential. It does abut some parts of Springer Woods, but also parts of Troy Farm and Curly Smart Circle from a roadway perspective. Aerial photograph, should we need to refer to it, I would just call out to you the woodlands that are down here, and you can see some of the wooded area here, which also contain some stream corridors, which we preserved as well. The applicant has really done a good job in going out of their way with this version of the plan to preserve those and preserve as many trees as possible, although some trees will have to be removed to accommodate the development. So overall, because this has been so long and the sections and the phases get a little complicated, we thought we would just put this exhibit in for you that shows you section 1 in orange that's been developed and is developing on J Court as we speak. Section 2 in green, some of which has been developed towards the south. North is up in this diagram. And then section 3 in the yellow, which is what's before you for an amended preliminary tonight. Speaking of 2000, here is the original plan. Highlighted in yellow is section 3. You can see there's really no parkland at all. There is some stream corridor preservation and open space in these areas. There was an idea of a bike path coming through somewhere in here, and there were 2 stub streets to the west. North, for the rest of the diagrams, I believe, is now going to be on your right side, so we can fit all of this in. Which means that some of these diagrams, some of the words are upside down, but I wanted to keep the same direction for you. Again, north is to your right side. So this is what is currently approved as the amended preliminary from 2014. In this amendment, we still had 2 stub streets to the west. We were still preserving some limited stream corridor in this location and some limited stream corridor in this location. We had cited the bike path then to run pretty distinctly through this open space, knowing that most of this was going to have to be dedicated towards stormwater. And there was a little over an acre park in this location with very small entrances and completely surrounded by lots, but it did get some active open space into the subdivision that didn't exist in 2000. So instead of going ad nauseum through the report, I just thought I would show you the changes from 2014 that we're talking about. And again, I appreciate EMH&T and D.R. Horton's engagement with us in this process to try to bring something that started that long ago up to today's standards, or really at the end of the day, make a better subdivision than what we had originally approved, what we approved in 2014. So in 2014, we had that little over acre active open space with very limited access. Now, as you'll see, we have almost 6 acres of active open space. That would include a tot lot, some field space, which is always needed in these kinds of subdivisions, every subdivision, boardwalks and benches, all connected with bike trails with a larger open frontage, and I think in a much better location overall. It was 129 lots in 2014. Now, part of the way to get some of the open space and bring it up closer to today's codes is by eliminating 8 of the lots in the subdivision. This is 37 fewer actually than in 2000. So we've been, the lot count has been going down. It really was disconnected from a bike trail and open space perspective, and now it's connected from those perspectives, including stubbing the bike trail into Troy Farms to the west, which already includes a bike trail stub there. So this allows us to fully connect all those pedestrian trails. Part of the tree calculus, there's a very detailed tree survey that has gone into sections 2 and sections 3. Actually, the entire subdivision, but particularly those 2. So where we were in 2014 was a $1,000 payment per lot in lieu of planting trees, and trying to find space for 500 and some caliper inches of trees to be planted. As a result of some of these improvements that we've seen and trying to have active open space, it's just not enough room to plant 500 additional calipers of trees, and there are thousands of inches of trees that are being preserved on the site. There will be a lot of trees. However, this is straight subdivision, and so doing the math and looking at the number of lots that are left in section 2 and section 3, that's about 164 lots. That would now increase that payment in lieu of planting to $1,321 per lot, and that will satisfy the tree code. As Commission is aware, you can satisfy the tree code in 3 different ways: planting off-site, or a payment, or a combination of that. We are doing it lot by lot, and then we will have a guarantee. You'll notice a condition in there. We'll have a guarantee from the developer that for some unforeseen reason, if the development doesn't finish, within 2 years of the recording of a plat of each of these sections, they would owe, if there's if happens to be a balance and they haven't developed them all yet, they would owe the balance for that section. There were 2 stub streets to the west. The lots to the west are in the townships. They've now been developed after 20 years or so with large lot single family development on those sites, and so in talking with our engineering department, there's really no point in providing stub streets to that location. However, there's what's known as the Davis property to the southwest, and we'll show you that here. There were 2 stub streets there which were pretty close to each other and made laying that property out difficult, in addition to making some of Springer Woods layout a little difficult. So now there would be a stub street from there and a stub street from the western side of Springer Woods. And I think the road layout overall will work a lot better and provide an opportunity for still 2 connections into the Davis property. So here's the submitted plan. I've taken the opportunity to color it up for you a little bit in terms of the open space. It does show up a little bit better on the big screen in that this is a little bit darker green, and that's the active open space area. Really comes out here with bike path connections, a tot lot, and field space. There will be some stormwater management that has to occur. You can see now the stream areas as well. And then the lighter shade of green is open space that's primarily either in a stream corridor, could be stormwater management, or preserving of trees. So I think overall it's just presenting a much better flow through the subdivision, better active open and passive open space. So that open space plan then would include a tot lot, a swing set, benches, an additional swing around with the bike path, so that, if someone's coming through, they can still do that. But if your kids are playing here, you can sit on a bench and watch them play on a play equipment, or play soccer or whatever they're going to do in the active field space. And then the developer has provided for us, I think, a useful overall diagram that actually it kind of shows you the length of time this subdivision has been going on. A bunch of it is built already. Some of it is being built, and this is phases in section 2 that actually the roadway network is being constructed and houses are going to start to go in here shortly, and then this is the phase 3. Which kind of shows you how it all connects together, how the bike path will come through these sections and come up to Aaron Drive, and then points to the south, really, through the open space.
Dave, if I may, J Court, which is that cul-de-sac, has been accepted through acceptance of public improvements.
So we're getting ready to build houses there.
And
That's what
then
that
section 2 and 3, which is what's on the left-hand side, yeah, that's what, phase 2, sections 2 and 3, those are now in construction.
Yep. So this is one of those subdivisions where over 20 years our stormwater management and engineering requirements have changed significantly. What we've attempted to do is basically we required a little bit narrower roads and a little bit less right-of-way back then. What we've attempted to do is to keep the streetscapes, first of all, looking right and designed right, but then also accommodating of safety forces, snow plows, and those sorts of things, is work with the developer to make the pavement width to the 32 feet that we're used to today, and simply cut down some of the right-of-way from 60 feet to accommodate pavement width that is really the primary thing that we're after, to be able to move around safety forces and other apparatus. So they've accommodated that, and again, we appreciate that. So I think overall, staff recommends approval of the case. Another amendment to the preliminary plan with several conditions, and we appreciate D.R. Horton's engagement in this process. We've been at it for probably over a year now, working with them, and look forward to continuance with that process. I think with D.R. Horton on board and with your approval and then moving into finals with city council approvals, this subdivision is going to build out pretty rapidly in today's market. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, David. Any questions from staff? No?
That's amended preliminary plat. I mean, I'm sure I'll have more questions, as it moves through, right? Preliminary subdivision plans and stuff like that, but.
This time, would the applicant like to come forward? Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Could you please state your name and address?
My name is Terry Andrews. I'm with D.R. Horton, Westport Homes. My address is 570 Executive Campus Drive, Westerville. With me is Jeff Strung with EMH&T. He's our planner. We really worked really hard with staff to try to modify the plan, because the other plan, we looked at it, they missed a lot of things on stormwater management, stormwater quality, and plus we wanted to really preserve the stream corridors, and I think this plan really does that. And really appreciate all the help with David and his staff. So if we have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them, and I don't know if Jeff has any more to add.
No. As this moves through, do you have an idea yet on how you would build it out? Like, let's say, you got the reserve area and, in what's called, I think, D reserve area with all the top lot, but in that area, there's really no program play areas yet. Would that be the last section or last phase? My questions are always, how soon can the neighbors get, the walking path in, the top lots, and the graded area to play in type of thing?
Because of utilities, we'll be starting on the south end, moving north to
Okay.
Warnersburg Road. But the first phase we'll do, I don't know how we can show you where we're gonna kind of break it. You have that.
It shows on the preliminary plat, plan,
Yeah.
the phase line. Seen it.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
kind of right here.
It's pretty
So
gotcha.
this would be the first section, that would be the final section.
Okay.
So as we move along to the north, we'll get the bike paths in and everything. And then the final phase, we would do the active park and everything. And again, it's dictated by utilities. We wouldn't be able to start from the north and go south. So.
Any timeline for preliminaries?
Well, we're
Not,
building.
no
phase-
specific dates, just, you know,
right.
next
Well, we're building
6 months.
sections
Yeah.
2.2 and 2.3 right now. We've started them. We hope that section will get us through this coming year. We've already started engineering on phase 3, and we hope maybe late this fall, next year, 2020, we would start that first phase.
That will be consistent with how busy we are in our shop class.
So these new plans have been pretty challenging to try to integrate with what we would have been approved almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of policies have changed dramatically, of which the other one really didn't have any. The other thing is your road radiuses and stuff, and new design standards have changed, and this integrates all that too as well.
What about the product itself? Has it changed dramatically or compared to what you were building, what was built there almost 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think, in Lantern Chase, we're probably averaging like $350 on home prices. I would see the same thing here.
And the commission, what we always try to do, this is straight zone, so, but what we always try to do is we had a existing subdivision that started here, and we try to work with the developer as best we can to conform to the extent possible and practical. They obviously have vested rights in 2014 approval, but overall this is far better, meets our current most important engineering standards, stormwater standards, and our lot standards.
Any other comments from staff, commission?
I can add too that this is utility-wise a challenged area, both respect to sanitary and stormwater. And the developer and agency have really responded to that challenge thus far. The coordination has been really good. I'm not surprised to hear that they're going to move from south to north, but because of the utilities, I fully concur with that.
Hearing a pretty consistent theme in here. Everyone's working well together and addressing the challenges.
It does look like a PUD. It does look like a straight zone.
Any other comments you would like to share with us?
Appreciate your help.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the positive feedback. Turn it back to the commission. What's the wish of the commission? Or if there's any in the public that would like to comment on this application, please come forward.
Brett Latta,
Afraid you're gonna have to state your name and address again.
376 North Sandusky. So, not opposed to the development. I guess I have kind of two questions. As it's been mentioned tonight, 20 years has passed, and so one thing that's changed is the rock quarry nearby has kind of expanded, and I'm not sure what the commission thought 20 years ago because I wasn't at those meetings, but obviously the city's growing, the quarry's getting bigger, and I recall in the local paper somebody, at least one person maybe, complained about house damage from blasting going on at the quarry. I don't know who it was. I don't even know if it was another phase of this development. I don't know if the city has any comments or concerns about that. And maybe that's a bigger question for, comprehensive plan and how far out we want to build towards the quarry. But so that's one comment. And then the other comment is, you know, there's obviously two streams. It's nice to see those preserved. Obviously, they need to be crossed, and it requires federal approval per the Clean Water Act. So my question to the developer is, do they intend to get a permit to cross those streams? I'm guessing they do, but I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, we're gonna facilitate a nationwide permit to do that, that's correct.
It's required with our engineering process that
That's-
they have to have all required permits, including any federal, especially with wetlands or anything like that, so.
So the city actually gets a copy of the permit
We
at
do.
some point? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I think my only other comment, if I may, is the crossing of those streams during construction. You know, it's tributaries of Delaware Run. Delaware Run flows into the Olentangy. The city itself has done a lot to improve the water quality of the Olentangy. You all know it's a state scenic river. So my request, if I can make a request, is that during construction, those streams get crossed at a single point. That would minimize the environmental, you know, effects downstream. As we grow as a city, its headwater streams that feed the Olentangy are going to be under stress, and that's going to stress the river itself. So I know it's the best management practice. It's probably part of the permit, but just from experience, it doesn't always happen that way in construction. So that's all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I'd say with respect to the quarry is that the quarry's been there for a long time. They have land development rights. They're not in the city of Delaware. The developments that have been approved in the city have development rights that have been approved, obviously. There's no documented damage that I'm aware of from a city perspective, and that would really be an issue between the individual homeowner and the operators of the quarry. But the quarry has to go through some pretty significant permitting at the state level as well. My understanding in layman's terms is that they do take into account how they blast, the method of blasting, how the shock waves from a blast may travel in the area. It may not just be towards us, maybe that other direction. And they're fairly limited now when development is going hot and heavy throughout central Ohio. Obviously, a lot of stone comes out of this quarry that is related to development. So in the last several years, they've been doing a little bit more blasting than maybe in 2009. I've noticed the pile of stone getting much higher out there. That'd be my comment.
Thank you. Back to the commission. What's the wish of the commission?
Move to approve 2019-0927 with all standard conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sorry. Roll call, please.
Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prawl?
Yes.
Mr. Volnick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansours?
Yes. Thank you very much. Councilman. All right, moving on. Next item, please, Elaine.
Case D, the Willowbrook Section 3, Case 1, 2019-2622, a request by Medrock LLC for approval of a final development plan for Willowbrook Section 3 on approximately 22.5 acres containing 88 single-family lots on property zoned R3 and R6, one family residential district and multifamily residential district, located on the north and south side of Boulder Drive between Minton Drive and Firestone Drive. Case 2, 2019-2623, a request by Medrock LLC for approval of a final subdivision plat for Willowbrook Section 3 on approximately 22.5 acres containing 88 single-family lots on property zoned R3 and R6, one family residential district and multifamily residential district, located on the north and south side of Boulder Drive between Minton Drive and Firestone Drive.
Mr. Eflin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, this case does represent the final development plan of plat and build out of single-family subdivisions in the Willowbrook Farm planned unit development. Take you through the case. This is a proposal for the final 88 single-family lots on a little over 22 acres, located off of what would be the final connection piece for Boulder Drive. That will allow Firestone of Boulder Drive to Houck connection. That has long been planned in our community. The development is on both the north and south sides of Boulder Drive with a small cul-de-sac on the south side. This development, unlike the previous development, is not straight zoned and is subject to planned unit development. It has a specific preliminary plan that's been approved by City Council and specific zoning text that is broken into many sub-areas of this development, as I know the commission is well aware. And so the text really controls the layout, the lot sizes, and all those sorts of things. Aerial photograph, should we need to refer to it, the only thing I would point out here is you kind of see it poking out from the kind of the wide red line here. Is a tree line in this location that separates a pre-existing subdivision from what will be the new subdivision in this location. We'll talk about that a little bit more in coming slides. But this is the approved preliminary plan. The blue hatched circled area is basically the area that we're talking about. Does not include multifamily area number 4, with which the commission is very familiar from recent cases, and will likely come forward as attached single-family development, kind of like the enclave at Adelaide. That's what we think right now, and that is not the subject of these cases. The subject of these cases are the single-family lots that you see on this plan. I will tell you this plan conforms in all respects to the preliminary plan. So the proposed development plan is included in your packet here on the screen. Really, should we need to refer to it? I'm sure you've had an opportunity to review this information as well. This is the plat, much harder to read up here, easier to read in your packet. I can report to you that all the lots conform again to the PUD text in terms of size and width and other requirements. I will formally amend staff recommendation, and I will explain this to you a little bit. Conditions number 4 in both cases related to the corner lots. As I mentioned before, this is a plan development with specific development text. All the corner lots that you see in these sections conform to that text, and therefore, in our estimation, they should be approvable this way. It's merely perfunctory. However, we have asked the developer to work with us, as we were just talking about in the last case, although that was straight zoning and this is PUD. We've asked the developer to work with us on the corner lots to attempt to oversize them as much as practical. Again, we have stormwater management considerations here. We have infrastructure, some of which has already gone in this location. And so the amendment to both of those conditions, we also, owning our own mistakes for a moment, we also work off template documents, and I think we've just pulled the wrong template for this, and it should read more like I'm going to read it and amend it to you, to be legal and also to be what we should have pulled, quite frankly. But both of them should read, the developer will work with staff to increase corner lots 4, 5, 19, and 44 to meet Chapter 1171 design requirements as much as practical. I will report to you that lots 73, lots 74, and lots 88, which we have contained in the previous recommendation, actually do meet the oversize requirements. And so that's why they're not included in the revised condition recommendation. The other 4 lots that we're talking about in working with the developer over the last week or so, we believe 3 out of the 4 we'll be able to amend at the staff level to meet that condition as well. There's one in this location that will be just as deep as every other lot, but because of the way the lots lay out and because of the minimum sizes required by the PUD text, if we move these lot lines on this lot 19 either to the west or to the north to achieve basically 2 more feet. That's what we're talking about here. It throws 3 to 4 other lots in nonconformance with the overall lot sizes. It doesn't seem to make any sense. It's certainly not practical to amend one lot to throw 3 or 4 or more lots into nonconformance PUD text. So that's where we are right now with that particular condition, and that is a formal amendment to it. I think with that, everything else is very perfunctory from our position. It's in keeping with the preliminary plan and plat, and we would recommend approval with the conditions and the number 4 condition as amended here tonight for you. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, David.
In the staff write-up, it just talks about parkland and open space, that there's not any park or open space in this section.
That's
Is
correct.
there any for that entire development area?
No,
Or
the open
sections
space
1
and the
and 2?
preliminary plan was really what has become our community park in this area of the plan, which is significant space, as you know. And so that would be the active open space. There will be some passive open space. There's already been a pond developed here, multifamily 4, so that would be passive open space. There will be a bike path on the south side of Boulder, which counts as active recreational space for us, as you know. It really substitutes in lieu of a sidewalk in that case. And there will be a sidewalk on the north side of Boulder.
Do you know how many total homes for this area is going to be in the build-out?
In this picture, is that
Yes.
what you're asking?
Yep.
I do not know off the top of my head. There are so many subsections, some of which has been changed over time. I'd have to go back and get that number for you to be accurate. The developer's representative is here, and he may know.
I know it's 280 acres total, but I'm not sure the exact number of homes.
Yeah, again, this development started in 1999. So I'd have to go back and do some addition for you. It is probably one of the more mixed-use areas of our community, actually, when you stop and think about it, from single-family homes to condominiums to low income senior housing to attached landominium, single-family, and of course apartment, and then what was conceived as industrial but has become our community center and Ohio National Guard with community space. So when you take it in total, with some retail to come, there's a medical office building up on 36. It's a pretty mixed-use development.
And do you know if this one would be built in phases for these
I defer to
88 single family?
I'll defer to the developer. I would anticipate this probably at least 2 phases, but he can answer when it's his opportunity.
Any other comments? The applicant like to come forward? Please state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Thank you. RJ Sabatino, 2705 Donna Drive, Columbus, Ohio. Again, thank you for having me. Regarding the phase line question, I know it'll be 2 phases. I'm not exactly sure where that phase line will be. That's as much as I can give you right now, if that's sufficient. Regarding comment 4, I appreciate the formal amendment. And of course, our lots, according to our PUD, are in conformance, and we're very willing to work with you to change those lots to a reasonable size or according to the updated text.
Dave, off that Steeplechase Court area,
Okay.
is there going to be any buffering between that and the open space area? That's the
So
one that's on the south side of Boulder Drive.
So this is Steeplechase that comes
Yeah.
in from, is that what you're talking about?
There's a
No,
Steeplechase
the court.
Court south
Steeplechase
of
Court,
Boulder.
not the street. It's on the
Oh,
the
the addition, well, while we're here, I will mention that part of what happened, the lot depths on these got a little bit, not as deep. And this part of Steeplechase moved over really at our request to try to preserve that tree line I mentioned before, which made these lots a little bit deeper. And so that's part of the reason why we're talking about lot 19 meeting the PUD, but not meeting, being 2 feet under on width, on one dimension of width. You're talking about Steeplechase Court.
Yeah.
There is no requirement for any buffering or fencing or anything between a single family and this. Again, it's a planned mixed-use development for overall mixed use. I think when this development comes in, we can discuss that as if that's something the commission would like us to discuss with the developer.
So we have another opportunity.
You'll have another opportunity, and this being single family, it would be fairly normal for us to maybe require that condition or some additional planting or something like that, maybe a fence or something. Kind of depends how that lays out too. On the other multifamily 4 areas, what I'm talking about.
You didn't say it, another bite at the apple. Come on, Dave, you're slipping tonight.
We got another bite at the apple?
I know.
That might be the last one in this.
So I-19, what is the width, what will it end up being then?
I'm sorry?
25? The width on 19 that he was talking about?
So 19 is still 77 feet wide this way. It's a corner, so 77 feet wide this way by 115 foot lot depth.
Okay.
Which puts it well in excess of the 7,000 square foot total requirement. Part of the reason why we look to oversize corner lots now, and the magic number is kind of a third oversizing, is because we require 2 front yard setbacks on a corner lot. And so when we made that change to the base code, we noticed that some people on corner lots weren't having what we would refer to as much of a functional rear yard as another lot. Then again, on the other hand, people decide to buy the lot that's on the plat as well, so they know that going into buying the lot, and not everybody wants bigger lots, as we're well aware now. But that was the reason for that section of code, which actually is in the design chapter of the zoning code. It's not in subdivision or something like that. So it's in there with eave overhangs and other things, and how you lay out subdivisions and the kinds of things we might want to see as a city.
I think it's 70 some.
It's 52. Take the corner. I guess the maths here is kind of in question, because we see 52, but that goes to just the
I think
easement, right?
I think, are you looking 52 at the rounded part of the corner?
Right, right.
So you also would have to go into the part, like where you see C115, there's a radius table that goes with these. So you have to add, actually the frontage around the corner is gonna be longer than the other 2 dimensions of frontage. That's just how corner lots work. So the acreage that you see there is accurate.
Okay.
And obviously the other dimensions are as well.
So by trying to massage that number somehow, we're just gonna have a domino effect on some other lots then.
You would, if you tried to get 2 more feet from, which some of these are 63 foot wide, but because they're 115 foot deep, you will throw those into nonconformity to the PUD text. And this way, you do the same thing.
The lot sizes fall below that 7,000 square feet.
Yeah. As the picture you're looking at right now, every lot is in conformance with their text.
questions or comments for the applicant? Is there anything else you'd like to add this evening?
I don't think so, but thank you very much.
Thank you. This time, anyone in the public like to come up forward and make a comment? Right, thanks. Going forward, what's the wish of the commission?
Move to approve 2019-26-22 with all staff recommendations as modified.
Second.
Link, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Badger?
Yes?
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prawl?
Yes.
Mr. Bonick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansour?
Yes.
Move to approve 2019-26-23 with all staff recommendations as revised.
Second.
Elaine, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Badger?
Yes?
Mr. Halter?
Yes.
Mr. Prawl?
Yes.
Mr. Bonick?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mansour?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, Mr. Eflin, would you like to presentation this evening? The report?
Just to say that we will be getting calendars out to you all probably by email. Are they at your desk? Look at that. The clerk anticipates what
But
my needs.
I can send it out by email too to make sure that Chairman Simpson receives one.
Okay.
We will be moving the January to the third Wednesday. We do anticipate several cases for January, so. Other than that, I would just say, as part of our budget request before the city manager and then city manager to council, that I'll be presenting on behalf of my team tomorrow night. Obviously, you know and you feel very directly the growth of the community, first of all, and then the amount of development that we have going on. And sort of the third bucket is we are well within the window of some pretty significant succession planning within our department, particularly within the inspection ranks, but also within the planning ranks. We're within the window of retirements that will be significant change to our community. And so when you put those three buckets together, we ask for we really need some help. So we've asked for some additional staff capacity. The manager has been responsive to that, and we're hopeful that City Council will be as well. But I just want to report that to Planning Commission. I know we work with you very directly on all these issues, and hopefully we provide you good service, and we want to continue doing that to you and the rest of the community. But plan review periods are taking longer than 30 days now. My inspectors are on many occasions running over 30 inspections a day, which by our own judgment and by any national and state standard is far in excess of really what we should be. And then the other component of that is really succession planning. The only reason why we've been able to handle the last several years, not just the last two, in the volume and doing comprehensive plans on top of it and the rest of it is because of really the experience of our staff. If I recall correctly, the combined experience in inspections in the trades of my inspection staff is somewhere in the 185-year range. So without that kind of experience, there is no way we would have been able to handle the kind of growth that Delaware has seen, and is very and we manage our growth very well here, but is very likely to see with the growth of Central Ohio as well, which is overall a good thing for our community, but it does require some additional resources. Since 2000, we're up about 18,000 people, and since 2010, we're up about 8,000. So the base population that we service is significantly higher as well. I guess my last little plug is in 2007, we had about 14 head count in our department. Now we have 10. We're looking to go a little over 11. So gives you a little perspective on that. Other than that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Everybody enjoy your families, and look forward to a happy, healthy, and very productive 2020, including, hopefully, the conclusion of our new comprehensive plan, which you guys will see. Happy to answer any questions you want.
Well, good luck. I hope your wish comes true and you get to add to capacity. Right. We'll start with you.
Yeah, it's more so just a comment of the realization of the growth. I live on the east side of town, and we're seeing the Kroger they're putting in, that amazing development, which is a lot taller than I thought. I mean, we knew it was gonna be tall, but I could see it over the mire. It's like, wow. And then we have the Seattle Apartments, or wherever they've changed that name to.
Seattle House.
It's pretty amazing just to see those two developments right there occurring at the same time. I think it's a good prognosis of our community, just in that my little microcosm of town. So, and they seem to be going well, especially the Seattle Apartments. I'm not running into any issues, so, and I live out that way. I know there was a lot of concerns, and so nothing with the construction going on right now, at least. So.
You know, my only comment is the brick house just west of the golf course. I know it's in the township, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to be collecting more
Yes.
and more stuff out there. I think we should reach out to the township. They must have some type of zoning regulations out there. 'Cause this has been going on for, I'll bet 30, 40 years. And they just,
But
you
it's
know, they
picked
just
up
keep
here.
on,
Yeah.
I don't know what's back there, it's private property, I'm not going, but I mean,
Yeah, but you-
it just keeps on adding
It
and growing.
It really picked up the last month or two. Like
Yeah.
I finally noticed it. I'm not the most observant for these things.
I wouldn't mind it if there was actually restoration work going on.
Yeah.
But
It's something.
I don't know what's going on there. I think the city probably should reach out to the township
We can do that.
and say, come on, folks, let's work on this a little bit, because if we do anything, the people who own that thing, they go crazy. If we cut grass or anything else, they just, so I'd like to see something done there,
Okay,
okay?
we'll look into it.
If possible. It may not be possible, I don't know. But other than that, hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving, and looking forward to Christmas, and Dave's gonna have an easy year for us next year. He's already said that. We can be out of here in 25 minutes every night.
That depends on the questions you ask.
I'm done.
Madam Mayor?
I don't have much, I understand the need for the additional person in planning. They're extremely busy every time I go over there, it's nuts how busy they are. And I just don't know what we're gonna do when we lose our inspectors to retirements, I'm really worried. So I think it's a good idea to get some guys in there and start getting trained, and so they can take over when Jerry and the other guys leave, so. Happy holidays, I don't know who will be on as city council person come January, so I'm just now getting in requests to see who we're gonna put on here, so we'll just see. But it's been nice working with you guys all, and I appreciate it, happy holidays.
Thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, from staff's perspective, in case you're not back on planning commission, I think you've done an outstanding job on this commission. Appreciate your service to the commission and to the city. You love being mayor and it shows.
Well, speaking about inspections, please pass along my thanks to your inspectors. We recently had our, full HVAC replaced, and, that requires them to come out with the little sniffers and the plumbing and stuff and whatnot. What I appreciated was, call them up, multiple dates, they're able to get out quickly. It was really the next day. And same way with my neighbor across the street who's going through a complete rebuild after a fire type of thing, that with his general contractor, the comments are, pulling the permits hasn't been a problem, and neither with getting an inspector out. They'll call in the morning, they're either going to come out that afternoon or the next day type of thing. So please pass along at least, for what it's worth, my thanks for that.
Appreciate that. I'll definitely do that.
Ditto, I've had the same experience. I had a question. I saw a for sale sign on the hotel project there at Elizabeth and Williams. Just saw it today.
Didn't know this.
Yes, after all the conversation, I think the developer went back and actually tried to cut down the number of rooms again and still make it more of a boutique kind of hotel and make his numbers work, and he's unable to do that, and so he's put the property back on the market. That's about what I can tell you that.
Happens, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Happy
He
holidays.
it may end up changing his mind again, and who knows?
Never know.
I think one of the interesting things to contemplate on that property, though, I know that was a lot of community discussion, and there was a lot of controversy with respect to that. I think the decisions that the city ended up making were good compromises with respect to the plan. That zoning district does allow, by conditional use, multifamily development, and so that would be the next logical thing to be proposed, in my opinion, on that particular property. So while we thought maybe we had a lot of controversy on the hotel, maybe more coming.
Yeah, again, the theme that's been consistent tonight is what great planning department we have here in the city, and you hear it commented by the applicants and how, wonderful it is to work with you guys, so
Appreciate that.
congratulations, and yeah, please share my best wishes and good luck for the future to those who are considering or thinking about retiring, and hopefully you'll find shoes big enough to fill. So
It's definitely gonna be a challenge. I really appreciate those comments.
And again, just Mr. Paul, after comment saying how working with these inspectors, I don't think I've ever heard anything like that in any other community where the communication has been so positive with that, with respect to things like that. So, and it just shows that Delaware is just a great place to live and be part of. So.
I'm blessed with a tremendous team, and I appreciate that every day.
So just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
And
Move to adjourn.